let's see what will happen. Who has called the strategy right? Who will be taking the checkered flag and those all-important 6 points? We're about to find out as Gran Turismo World Series 2 for the Manufacturers' Cup here in Berlin is underway. Drumont and Subaru lead them down towards the first corner, followed by Le Boutelet and then Serrano and then Sejak in the Porsche and the Nissan respectively. Don't expect any dive bombs down into that first corner, but Serrano closing up. I say that, there are some dive bombs taking place as Jura is making hay whilst the sun shines. He's already on the attack against Sejak, but Sejak goes back through on Valerio Gallo.
Back to T1. I think there was an incident here with Giorgio Mangano. Contact there. Oh, it's a Supra there. Toyota getting spun, kind of brilliant, but then Mangano getting spat out by João Jesus there.
And now Benelli has got the bit between his teeth because he's got the slipstream and he's got the straight line speed to take advantage of Pole Jura as we come down the Döttinger. Side by side we go between the Mazda and the Mercedes. It's going to be nice and easy for the Mercedes to go through. But what about, yeah, exactly that, what I was about to say, the Honda, because they're going to get boxed in here. Valerio Gallo loses one place, loses 2 places potentially, because Pole Jura is now side by side with Gallo as they come up and over the rise. It's always a bit tense and a bit sketchy coming through here 2 by 2. But Gallo just decides to not fight it too hard. But Serrano doing a good job of having built a gap, actually, to the trio of drivers. I say fairly steady because Jura is now on the attack against Benelli as they go side by side, and the door is going to open here for Gallo. There's a bit of contact in the mid part of that right-hander there as Benelli just sort of almost they merged into one. The upshot is the Brazilian driver drops 2 places. Thomas Le Boutelet as well. He needs to get ahead of the Irish driver in that McLaren as soon as he possibly can, because all the time he's stuck behind him, he's losing track position, losing time that he's then going to have to gain back up later on in the race. And is Murphy going to have anything to do with defending it? He is. He sort of parks the car on the apex there, denies an opportunity for Le Boutelet. So this is music to the ears of Kylian Drumont. Side by side they go. Le Boutelet's got the inside line and surely will now finally take the position, but you know he's lost about a second or so in relation to his compatriots.
Oh, but Benelli back past Gallo.
Yep, so Benelli on the attack against Valerio Gallo coming down the Döttinger then. So the 2 medium shot runners still squabbling for position.
We have Kylian Drumont now in the Subaru going up the inside of Giorgio Mangano. Just lets him through there. As I said before, just make sure to lose as little time as possible. That's fantastic. Either that or I am glued to the high beam button. Get out of the way, move.
There we go.
Oh, there you go, yeah. Through goes the Boutelet there, getting it done. Again, I think Mangano, Giorgio's been around for a long time. He knows the score. He's not going to sit there on the racing line and cost them both time, but gets out of the way, does it in a way that costs them as little time as possible.
Oh, look at that! Drumont getting aggressive, and Lever into the wall! Side by side they go. That's going to cost Drumont. It might even open the door here for Le Boutelet to find his way through. Amazingly, they all manage to exit the corner in exactly the same positions and indeed the same direction as they entered. But that was pretty aggressive and robust. A little bit scrappy from Kylian Drumont there.
And right now there, Nathan Lever did not allow that, but now putting indicator on after the damage is done, I think. It's all right, I'm sorry, I'll get out of the way. And for good measure, hip check on the way by. These guys are not hanging around, but more importantly, all that time they spent there behind the Lamborghini has meant they've all lost time to the fields.
Now let's see what the slipstream is going to be like here for Valerio Gallo and for Lucas Benelli. Jura is surely going to be a sitting duck. Gallo pulls to his inside, and you would imagine you're going to see Lucas Benelli going through before too long. There he is, stage right, and Jura losing 2 places down the Döttinger. So now you've got a Honda and an AMG in front of a Mazda for 2nd and 3rd at this stage of the race. Now let's see what Gallo can do in the closing stages of this one, as Serrano does finally pit from the race lead. He had no choice, he's got no fuel left.
Yeah, he had to box there, comes the Boutelet on. Look at that speed difference there on the Subaru, like it's standing still. There goes the team BMW and Thomas Le Boutelet up into what will be, we think, the overall lead, but we don't know. Right now it's for 10th on circuit, everyone's pitting in, so it'll all shake out once it's done. Oh, a little bit of a sideways moment there. You can see Thomas now really trying to get the hammer down.
Oh, look at this, Drumont and Le Boutelet, and Drumont is back through all the while we're wistfully talking about Nissan winning the Manufacturers' Cup. Drumont has sent one through on Le Boutelet for 5th position then.
He's got 20 litres of fuel in the car right now to 6 and 4 and 7 from Jesus. So although Gallo is getting by here, there'll be a pit stop for the top 4 now, and I think we're going to see the Nissan driver probably come out in the lead.
Let's see the move then for the Polish driver in the Nissan against the Dutchman in the Toyota. He's going to switch it back to the inside. That is beautifully smooth there. De Bruyne just gives him racing room on the inside, and smooth and sweet as you like for Mikolaj Sedlak as he elevates himself up into 5th place as he chases a podium down for Nissan here. Let's see De Bruyne. He's lost a place here to Lucas Benelli. There's contact, more contact, a little bit more contact. Oh, it's fairly robust. It sends De Bruyne off onto the grass on the outside. It's all eyes on the battle for the final podium place, and here we go then. Serrano splits the middle, Ura as well, but here comes Mikolaj Sedlak on the inside in the Nissan. Has he got the straight line speed? Has he got the advantage to try and use it? The headlights illuminating the darkness as they blast their way down at nearly 300 kilometers an hour, 3 abreast. Sedlak on the inside, Serrano in the middle, Ura on the outside as we come over the rise. Ura gets through and into 3rd. Serrano versus Sedlak for 4th place as they come into the final corners of this race. And are they going to make it? Sedlak goes through on the outside to the checkered flag. Kylian Drumont takes victory for Subaru here in Berlin ahead of Labousle, and 3rd for Mikolaj Sedlak for Nissan. What a phenomenal end to this race on his debut in the Gran Turismo World Series. Absolutely fantastic.
PlayStation.
And welcome to the Gran Turismo World Series, coming to you live from Los Angeles. It's round 3, and it's a particularly special one because we are celebrating in full force 100 million copies of GT7 being sold. That's pretty spectacular. So we've had the Fan Fest outside. You guys went outside. You had a good time there, right? Also, one lucky Gran Turismo fan is going to get the chance to get their car into the game in the GT Awards. That's pretty special too. So we got all of that. We're going to announce the winner of that, and we're also going to give you some more information on the Spec 3 update, which is coming very, very soon too. So much to get through. But let's not forget why we're here, which is the Manufacturers' Cup. Who do you think's going to take it today, guys? Oh, it's pretty split. We want to know if Subaru are going to make it the triple. Let's find out.
Don't forget that you can get involved with the World Series inside Gran Turismo 7 with the bonus campaign. Just click on the Winners Campaign banner on the GT7 World Map, and that's going to give you the chance to win 1 million credits for each of the Nations Cup and the Manufacturers' Cup by predicting who's going to win. Just think of all the stuff you could buy with that. Don't forget that you can enter and vote right up until the start of each Grand Final. Good luck. Watch the World Series broadcast through your GT7 game, and you'll unlock some special in-game rewards through the Viewers Campaign. Watching the Manufacturers' Cup means you'll be gifted a Toyota Supra RZ97. Tune in and claim your rewards. Everyone likes free stuff, myself included, and here's your chance to grab some.
we just keep on giving and giving? But would you like to know about one more exciting new partnership? I think that's a yes. Something. I mean, come on. That looks pretty spectacular. And to talk more about this exciting partnership, we have GT Series producer Kazunori Yamauchi. We have Michael Mantz, who is the Chief Comms Officer from Polestar. And of course, occasionally turns up to some Gran Turismo events, Igor Fraga, but also Super Formula driver too. Let's give him a round of applause, please. Michael, let's talk about how this partnership kicked off. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, first I have to say I still have goosebumps when I see our video on this big screen. Shout out to the team from Polestar. You see the blonde guy there, Hunter. It's his film. Congrats, Hunter, to this film. Yeah, and then I have to say it's a super special thing for us. We are super proud. We share the same passion for cars. And we at Polestar, we are producing all electric performance cars. And you can imagine it's super important for us to share this excitement. And we believe this is the most powerful platform to do this.
I mean, it's amazing. And actually, let's go a little bit more into the car itself. Let's go through some of the details, actually.
Yeah, we are super proud. Polestar 5 is really our brand on wheels. We worked 5 years on this car to set new standards. It's completely developed in-house in Sweden and UK. It's on a bespoke platform, bonded aluminium chassis, up to 884 horsepower. And we are really obsessed over every detail, just as you are doing in Gran Turismo. So we wanted perfection also for our car in the game, and therefore we also partnered up with Igor. So it has a reason that he's here. He tested our car on real roads, on real racetracks in Sweden and UK to really make sure we bring the Polestar performance DNA into the game. So we are super excited. Hope you get it, and I hope you will all enjoy driving Polestar 5 and Gran Turismo. Big thanks to the entire Gran Turismo team for making Polestar 5, for making our all-electric Swedish performance brand available to this crazy car community here. Thank you very much, guys.
I mean, they're going to be excited to drive it. But obviously someone who did get to drive it, Igor, I mean, I'm not going to bring up the fact that you came to England and didn't say hi. Rude, going to Brands Hatch. But let's talk a little bit about you doing the digital test driving for this.
Yeah, so first of all, it's good to be back on this kind of event. It's a little bit in a different way, but it's really good to be back. I really enjoy being here. And Polestar have invited me to be part of this project. When I first hear about it, I felt like, you know, it's a great experience. So I was like, for sure, I wanted to do something together with them. They're a very passionate company. They're building great cars. It's been a great experience to have driven this car in real life. They handle very, very well. Yeah, I really wanted to make sure that I can capture all the fun fact about the car, about the performance into the game as well. And yeah, it was an amazing experience.
So was it great when you were allowed to put your foot down finally? Because we know you like doing that.
Yeah, definitely, yes. 800 horsepower plus, so it's going to have a crazy acceleration. It handles very smooth on the road, but it's also, the suspension is quite, it adapts really well onto the circuit. So it was a very fun car to push around the track.
Yeah, you can tell you had fun, look. Yeah. Yamauchi-san, so I'd like to know actually, what was kind of your first impression? But before working with Polestar, what was your impression of the brand?
はい、僕、ポールスターの車を初めて見たのはアメリカだったと思います。おそらくポールスター2だったと思うんですけれども、その時にね、僕、すごいかっこいい車を作ってるメーカーがあるなと思って、すごく注目してたんですね。で、ポールスターのそのクリーンでエレガントなイメージだとか、そういったものっていうのをすごく注目して見ていたんですけれども、それから何年か経ってこうやってパートナーとして一緒にお仕事できたっていうのは素晴らしいことだなって思いました。
Yeah, so actually, the first time I saw a Polestar car was in the U.S. I think it was the Polestar 2 actually, and I remember thinking, that's a really good-looking car. So, I was actually starting to pay attention to the Polestar brand. The design is very clean and very elegant. So, I had already taken notice, and a few years down the line now, we're paired up with Polestar to do this collaboration, have their car in the game. So, it's fantastic.
And obviously, now that you've worked with Polestar, have you what else have you learned about them?
実際に仕事を一緒にさせていただいて僕が思ったのはポルスターの皆さんって本当に車が好きです。
Yeah, so having worked together with Polestar now, the first thing I noticed was that they really love cars.
一つ例を挙げるとポールスターの車って、EV ですけれどもブレーキは油圧なんですね。ハイドロリックなんですね。そういったあたりにねすごいこだわりを感じました。
Yeah, so the Polestar car, one example that I can mention is that it's an EV, but the brakes are still hydraulic, and that's the kind of dedication that you only have if you really like cars and how they drive.
I see you're definitely the same, but from different sides. It's super cool. But before we go, and before we get into all this amazing racing, I believe Yamauchi-san, you have one more bit of information to tell the GT fans out there.
はい、間もなく12月に、グランツーリスモのスペック3のアップデートがやってくるわけですけれども、そのスペック3のアップデートと同時に、このポールスター5を使ったオンラインのタイムトライアルを開催します。
So in December, we're going to be releasing the Spec 3 version of Gran Turismo 7. And at the same time as that release, we're also going to be hosting a time trial event with the Polestar car.
でそのタイムトライアルイベントで、1位になった方は、僕らがこの年末に行うグランツーリスモのワールドファイナル、これは日本の福岡で行うんですけれども、そこに招待されます。
And the winner of that time trial competition, whoever gets first place, is going to be invited to the Gran Turismo World Series World Finals, which is happening in Fukuoka, Japan.
That's pretty cool. You reckon you can do it, guys? What do you think? That's super cool. Well, are you guys excited to drive the car in game, yes? Excellent, we love to hear it. Well, please give them all a big round of applause. We're so very excited about this new partnership and all your dedication. Thank you so much. Now, if you've missed any of the action from the Manufacturers' Cup, we've got a little bit of a recap from Berlin for you.
Well, let's see what will happen. Who will be taking the checkered flag and those all-important 6 points? We're about to find out as the Manufacturers' Cup here in Berlin is underway.
We'll head off that way.
Don't expect any dive bombs down into that first corner. I mean, I say that, there are some dive bombs taking place, but Sejak goes back through on Valerio Gallo.
Back to T1, President here, Giorgio Mangano.
So much.
See you later. Super there, Toyota getting spun, kind of through, but then Mangano.
As they go side by side, and the door is going to open in for Gallo. There's a bit of contact in the mid part of that right-hander there as Pinelli just sort of almost they merged into one. The upshot is the Brazilian driver drops 2 places. Strumont getting aggressive, and Lever into the wall. Side by side they go. That's going to cost Strumont. That was pretty aggressive and robust. A little bit scrappy from Kylian Drumont there. It's all eyes on the battle for the final podium place, and here we go then. Serrano splits the middle, Jura as well, but here comes Mikolaj Sejak. The headlights illuminating the darlings as they blast their way down as they come into the final corners of this race. And are they going to make it? Sejak goes through on the outside to the checkered flag. Kylian Drumont takes victory for Subaru here in Berlin ahead of Labouche and third for Mikolaj Sejak on his debut in the Gran Turismo World Series. Absolutely fantastic. It's time to meet our 12 competitors as we welcome them onto the stage here in Los Angeles. From the United States of America, please welcome Simon Rosenberger. Making his Gran Turismo World Series debut, he drives for Lamborghini and he has dominated the online qualifiers this season. Let's see what he can do. Next up, the Chilean driver Harold Valsen. He drives for Lexus. He was part of the 2024 championship winning lineup. Let's see what he can do. Can he get Lexus's first points on the board of the 2025 season? Next up from the United States of America, please welcome Donovan Parker. Donovan is driving for Ferrari. It's his 6th year of competition in the Gran Turismo World Series. He's yet to take a victory. Could tonight be his first? All the way from Canada, please welcome Trent Jeffrey. Trent is driving for Team Honda. He's 25 years old. This is his 3rd year of competition. And outside of GT, he's also a drummer in a rock band. Let's see whether he's got the rhythm to take it to the front tonight. From Brazil, Arthur Mosso Nunes, driving for McLaren. Formerly raced with Porsche and Renault in the Manufacturers' Cup. He's 25 years old, now at the wheel of the McLaren. Let's see what the Brazilian driver can do here tonight in front of the crowd in the United States. From France, Noah Lazuna. He drives for Mercedes AMG. He's making his debut in the Gran Turismo World Series, is Lanuza. 7th, as you can see, in the online qualifiers in the EMEA region. Keen to see what he will do on his debut in the GT World Series. From Brazil, Adriano Carrazza drives for Team Toyota. It's his 3rd season racing for this team. He's taken 2 wins in the GT World Series today. Could he make that a triple here tonight? Next up from Chile, it's Angel Inestrosa for Team Porsche. Angel's a 5-time winner. He was part of the near championship winning lineup for this team back in 2023. Porsche still looking to get off of the point scorer. They're 5th in the standings at the moment and have got a bit of a mountain to climb here tonight. Next up from Canada, it's Samuel Cardinal. Samuel's driving for Mazda. He's a young Canadian hotshot making his debut this season in the GT World Series. Just 18 years old is the Canadian driver. Let's see what he can do in front of the American crowd here today. Celso Filo from Brazil drives for Team Nissan. He's also making his debut in the Gran Turismo World Series. He's a King Carter, and as you can see, qualified as part of the online championship in the Americas region. Randall Haywood from the United States of America is driving for Team BMW. He's had 3 wins in the GT World Series, all for that manufacturer. Can he add to that tally here tonight? BMW 2nd in the standings going into this event. And last but not least, from the United States of America, give it your all for Daniel Solis. Daniel's driving for Team Subaru, the 2-time manufacturer's champion. He's 30 years old and will be looking to try and add to Subaru's dominant run of form in 2025. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to please stand if you're able for the national anthem of the United States of America. Angeles, the home of Gran Turismo World Series 3, our 3rd stop on the 2025 calendar. What a fantastic venue this is. What a great crowd we've got here tonight. And of course, we've had the GT Fan Fest as well. Very excited to see what is going to happen here today. Anyway, before we get that underway, let's get you back over to Jules.
Some brand new faces in the mix. We're excited to see how they're going to do once they've been put in that hot seat. And of course, some of the old familiar ones like Danny Sollis and Randall Hayward, who we're going to be talking to in just 1 second. But let's have a little bit of a look how the competition's going to break down.
This Cup features 12 teams of 3 drivers selected from the 2025 online series ranking. Each team consists of 1 player from each of the 3 global regions: Asia, Oceania, EMEA and Americas. 1 driver per team will race in each round, with 3 of them competing together at the World Finals at the end of the year. For today's race, the time trial session will set the grid for the Grand Final. In the Grand Final, 1 driver per team will race for World Series points, where only the top 6 teams are going to score points at all. Only 1 team will be crowned the Round 2 winner of the Manufacturers' Cup.
Format, and here is how the points stand after 2 rounds of the GT World Series in 2025. You can see Team Subaru have made it 2 wins out of 2 rounds so far. BMW, they're just 2 points adrift, having finished second on both occasions. This and in third, they're tied on points with Mazda, Porsche, Toyota, Mercedes and McLaren compete the point scorers. Crucially there, you can see in 9th place, Lexus, last year's champions, no points on the board. They need an absolute miracle to try and turn it around, and they need to get a victory here tonight. Anyway, it's our first time in the United States of America since 2019, and what better to welcome a new member to the Gran Turismo family, Parker Kligerman. Parker, great to have you here. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. I just love Gran Turismo, and I love the Gran Turismo World Series. Watching it grow and grow has been amazing, and just great platforms for some of the best in the world display their skills on a massive stage. It's very cool to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be super exciting to see what happens here tonight in the Manufacturers' Cup. Let's have a look at the season format, though, just to guide you through how it's all gone down in 2025, because as you can see, it's been a really interesting and exciting affair. We started things off in London, then we went to Berlin in September. We're now, of course, here in Los Angeles tonight, and then the World Finals take place in Fukuoka right before Christmas. And it's going to be really interesting to see how it will play out, all the different sort of ebbs and flows and the points and the consistency that the teams and the drivers need over the course of these first 3 rounds of the season can't be underestimated.
No, and we've seen some of the manufacturers. Right now it's Subaru up there dominating so far, so if you're driving with some of the other manufacturers, you know the pressure is on right now to rise up and find another level of performance to try and beat them.
No doubt about it. We've had the GT Fan Fest here, some of the most incredible cars I have ever seen. Modified cars, and you can see just look, as far as the eye can see, it is an absolute dream
out there. Went and spent a little bit of time, saw all the setups, the cool cars, amazing.
Yeah, incredible. You can see there as well, Fukuoka. Scan the QR code in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Tickets now on sale for the World Finals on the 20th and the 21st of December. We really look forward to seeing you there and capping off what has been another phenomenal season in the GT World Series. Anyway, we're about ready to get things underway in a few moments' time, but let's head back over to Jules and catch up with a few of our competitors, some of the hometown heroes here this weekend.
Yes, hi guys! How is it being, I mean, you've got hometown advantage. How do you feel? Because the crowd are so behind you. It's good, right? Yeah? That's got to feel nice, right?
Yeah, it feels great. It feels great to have so much support, and it motivates me even more.
Yeah, how about you? How about you, Danny?
How am I?
Yeah.
Nervous?
Oh, you're going to be fine. It's going to be great. You've done this so many times before, and you haven't got this. Normally, you don't have this huge, massive crowd being like, Danny, Danny, Danny,
you know what?
Danny, 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 Danny. See?
The last time we were here in America, we were in New York. This is a better crowd. Look at all that noise. Let's go.
I love it. Let's get some bi-coastal feuds on the go. Okay, so obviously, you know, you're kind of, you've got a lot to kind of like play. What do you, okay, first of all, let me calm down. First of all, I get a bit too excited about all of this. First of all, what are you going to do? Because obviously your BMW are like just behind. It's been the same for like round 1, round 2. What's the strategy going to be? Because you need to push past, you need to better what Danny's doing.
I'm going to prioritize track position and try to leave out of here with some points for the championship.
You're going to do better than that. That's going to be great. Daniel, what about you? Because obviously, you know, I feel like you've got like the most pressure because obviously, you know, you're right out in front. But like, how are you gonna keep a hold of that lead?
I don't know. I'm not the greatest. I had a really hard time in practice today, so.
That was practice.
It's a game of survival, I think, in my case.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully scrap a couple points, but honestly, I don't know if that's going to happen today.
Look, practice is practice. It's not the same as on here. That's like fresh slate. You think you can do it, right? Come on. Like, we all believe in you. Practice was practice. It's completely different to what you set up there. So.
I'm glad you guys believe in me more than I believe in myself, so thank you.
You guys are going to do great. You've got this huge crowd behind you. We're so excited to see how you do. Go sit down, relax. Well, I say relax. Get ready. And yeah, we believe in them, right? Let's give them one last cheer. Randall and Danny. Let's throw it back over to Tom and Parker.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed, Jules. Looking forward to seeing how Randall and Donovan are going to get on here tonight. As you can see, a smorgasbord of drivers on the grid for this one. Some new faces, some familiar ones. I'm keen to see what's going to happen here tonight because there are some big moments, big opportunities on offer for some teams.
There definitely is, and we spoke to Donovan Parker earlier today, driving for Ferrari, and we asked him, what do you think out today? And he said, I'm here to win. Yeah. And then we talked to every other driver, and they said, I'm here to win. So everyone thinks they have that possibility. Maybe Daniel Solis didn't feel like he has a ton of confidence, but everyone coming here with the idea that they're here to win.
No doubt about it. Now, Mazda are third in the championship going into this one. Samuel Cardinal's behind the wheel. Let's have a look at this R-Race Vision car. You can see it's a fictional car. It's not something that you can go and drive in real life. Front engine, rear wheel drive, naturally aspirated. It's got a rotary engine and it's putting out an incredible amount of power. Samuel Cardinal, just 18 years old. And look, the pressure here at these GT World Series events is incredible. It's one thing in your sitting room at home with, you know, your cat and your dog and, you know, your sodas in the fridge around you. When you're on a stage with people shouting and an amazing audience, it's one thing, it's completely different.
When we go to that shot showing the faces of the drivers, you can tell the intensity that's around them and just the feeling of focus that they have at that time. You just sense it and you can tell the crowd interaction. That's such an intense place to be. When you're driving a real car, you don't hear a crowd. Here, they'll hear the crowd.
Absolutely, and we've got qualifying coming up here, Parker, as well. It's a one-lap shootout. I mean, there is no room for error.
There isn't. It's incredibly important. Every single driver said track position matters. It's incredibly important to get up front, and qualifying is where you can start to do that right off the bat. With the tire strategies ahead of them, they have the possibility of using that track position to their advantage, so it's absolutely imperative that you qualify well.
Well, let's have a look at this circuit then for the first time. Road Atlanta, Group 3 cars, racing medium tyres, and as you can see, a one-lap time attack. How do you prepare yourself mentally when you've only got one shot at it?
Well, a lot of these drivers practice throughout all this time leading up, right? And we talked to some of them, they said, you know, how many hours they spend each and every day or night on the sim trying to get ready for this. So they show up prepared, and we saw when they were practicing yesterday where they'd walk up and they'd do 3 laps and then go, that's it, that's what I have. I know exactly what I'm doing. So you have to have that muscle memory by this point of exactly what you need to do around this racetrack, an incredibly fast racetrack, high speed corners around here, and long straights that are incredibly important to the lap time getting on those long straights.
Yeah, it's a no margin for error sort of circuit. That first sector in particular, you know,
it's a good one.
You're one side of the steering wheel, but it's a roller coaster, isn't it?
It is. It's blind crest at the top into 2 over 3. Then you shoot down through the S's. It compresses the car down, and then you sort of go up towards turn 6 to 7, and that long back straightaway where you've hoped that you've gotten the run you want towards the incredibly important braking zone into the 10 chicane.
Yeah, you got the drivers there on your screen at the moment. They are primed and ready to go, and you can imagine that the heart rate's going to have gone up by a few beats per minute, hasn't it?
It's hitting the limiter right now. This is the worst part. This is the moment you're thinking about everything. You're thinking about what you're going to do for the lap, but the best part is when you actually get going, the heart rate comes down a bit. That's where you can focus on the task at hand.
Get yourself into that sort of flow state, really,
yes.
Isn't it? Yeah, no doubt.
That's
about
what
it.
I hope to find every time. I don't know if I do it every time, but I try.
Yeah, drivers out on circuit then here at the moment. There is Trent Jeffrey closest to your picture, driving for the Honda team. You've got Lexus and Harold Velson on the right-hand side there as well. Looking forward to seeing what Harold is going to be able to do. And Lexus, they need a big evening's worth of racing here tonight. As we said, last year's Manufacturers' Cup champions, and they are yet to get off the scoring board. But we are now then just moments away from getting qualifying underway here in LA. So So drivers then are ready to go for qualifying. We're just a few moments away here at the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta from action about to begin. And let's see how this one is going to work out then. Simon Rosenberger for Lamborghini will lead the field around that final corner, or lead himself around that final corner and in towards turn one. As we say, one bite of the cherry. He's now on his first and only flying lap in this session. Talk us through this first sector here, Parker, because it's incredible.
Well, you saw a bit of a wiggle there through turn one. It's incredibly important to roll a ton of speed into there, but the car gets very light in the exit. Now down through the S's, you want to stay committed to the throttle, which is all about rhythm through there. Then over here, shooting down towards turn 6. You'll use all the curve there on the exit of 5. Down this back straightaway, it goes into a downhill braking zone. That's kind of a theme here at Road Atlanta. Into 6, and this sets you up for 7. This is possibly the most important corner on the racetrack. He's got a penalty there.
He has, and that doesn't mean that lap time will be disallowed, so he'll be starting from the back of the grid unless anybody else, of course, gets a penalty. So that's, you know, we're not even halfway through the lap and he's gone.
Can't do that. Can't do that. And you'll see that through the S's because it's hard to stay full throttle down through those S's, but it's worth so much lap time if you can. So that's definitely where he got that, and where a lot of drivers will struggle with the track limits.
Yeah, and we talk about that pressure, and that's just an example of it. You know, Simon Rosenberger, as we said, making his Gran Turismo World Series debut. He's a young lad, and it's so easy to just make those slight errors. So let's see what it looks like as he comes through into the final sort of part of this lap, making his way round through that final corner. And we'll get at least a reference lap time there for him, a 1:19.274 for Simon Rosenberger. Then what about everybody else in terms of the sector times? We can see Harold Valson, he's on your screen at the moment, the Chilean driver for Lexus. As we mentioned a couple of times already, they need a big weekend here. They need to get qualifying sorted because it will just give them one fewer headache to worry about fighting their way through the field in the race. Harold Valson, he knows how to drive this car. He's very familiar with it. Part of the winning lineup that won the Manufacturers' Cup in 2024. He goes to the top of the time sheets, a 1:18.5. That's a bit more like it.
And that's more like we expected from what we saw in practice. They even got down the 17s late in practice, but we'll see. I expect a low 1:18, could be towards the pointy end of the field right here as we've watched Donovan Parker heading this downhill braking zone. Easy to overcook it here. Got through it nicely.
Yeah, it was 2/10 up in that middle sector there was Donovan Parker, returning to the Gran Turismo World Series, and that's aging Ferrari 458 Italia. It's a little bit long in the tooth, that one now, but he makes his way around the final corner. Might be an old car, but it's certainly a fast lap time there, a 1:18.273 for the American driver. Now, Trent Jeffrey in the Honda NSX. Honda have had a difficult time of things over the course of the 2025 season. They're one of 4 manufacturers yet to get off the bottom of the scoring board. Could Trent be the answer that team is looking for? Making his way through, looks okay so far. In terms of the sector times, he was actually pretty handy in the middle sector. Not the fastest we've seen, but not the slowest either.
Lost a lot in that last sector there for him, and it looked like into 10A and 10B, just maybe a little bit conservative, I would say, in the braking zone there, and possibly gave up the time there.
Yeah, let's see what Arthur Mosso can do then as well. He's on his out lap then here, so now ready to begin his one and only flying lap is the Brazilian driver. This McLaren machine, as you can see, mid-engined, and first corner, again, looks okay. What are we looking for here in terms of the behaviour of the car through this first sector?
It looks very smooth. That's not always the best thing through there. You want to always see them chuck the car. Then as we go down to these downhill S's, watch how he works the wheel, almost trying to flick it into this corner. Now catch that curve, perfect. Don't go too far and get a track limit. Oh, great exit there out of 5, now heading towards 6. You want to use a bit of that curve, but not all of it. That means you've probably rolled too much speed.
Just 0.08 of a second down in that first sector is Arthur Mosso Nunez, so looking pretty good so far then here through this double apex right-hander. You've got to compromise the entry, it's the exit, and he's going to carry that mistake all the way down to the next braking zone there. So that could cost Mosso a bit more time than he would have liked to have left on the table here, maybe.
It's like he turned in and just didn't quite have the cut out of the front tires, couldn't get to the apex, knew it, was trying to get back the throttle to get the run, and look at that. Loses almost 3/10 now in that sector.
Yeah, coming down in towards the braking zone, so he's going to have to try and make that up in the final sector, but the problem is when you're down, when you're sort of on the back foot, it's just so easy to snatch a brake, overdrive the car a little bit really here. So Mosso just needs to keep it quite clean and quite tidy and just limit the damage from that, what was a very slight error. Out of the final corner, he goes 3rd quickest, so he's in front of the Honda, in front of the Lamborghini, but not the quickest time that we've seen so far. What about Lanuza then, the Frenchman? This is Noah Lanuza. It should have been Lucas Bonelli who would have been behind the wheel.
Great first 2 sectors here.
Good.
Yeah, all about this braking zone, getting the car across that curb. Now back hard on the throttle. Use the curve there.
You can see him stabbing away at the throttle there, just trying to find traction, trying to find a bit of grip, but looking pretty good here through that final corner. Front engine, rear wheel drive Mercedes, and he goes to the top of the pile by nearly 0.3 of a second. That's phenomenal there from Noah Lanuza, the driver who makes his debut in the Gran Turismo World Series. And at the moment, he's chucked it to the top of the class. Fantastic. What about Adriano Carrazza in the Toyota? Toyota, of course, former Manufacturers' Cup champions in years gone by. And let's see what Carrazza can do. We know he's fairly robust in terms of his driving style. He's not afraid of getting his elbows out, but is that going to translate into a strong lap time? Here he goes over the line. He's third quickest, so demotes Wolfson, demotes Mosso Nunez, Jeffrey and Rosenberger down a place, and not a bad lap time there for him. We also spoke to Angel Enestrosa earlier on here, Parker, and he was pretty feisty. He said he wants to go out there and win.
Used a lot of curb on the inside of 10A there. That set him up nicely for 10B. Didn't have the best first 2 sectors. We'll see if he picks something up in the 3rd sector.
Out of that final corner then goes Angel Enestrosa, 0.2 of a second down, but 3rd quickest for him. So in front of Adriano Carrazza, who we saw come across the line a few moments ago. We've got Cardinal, who will be up next in the Mazda, and he's now beginning his first flying lap. And you can see and also hear how different this car is.
You gotta love the sound of it, a rotary engine like that. High-pitched squeal almost, screaming as he goes over the crest here into 2-3. Little wide on the exit. You want to be further over on that right side apex curb.
Is there an argument here for the mid-engine cars that they'll perform maybe a bit better through that first sector because they haven't got the weight over the front axle?
You have to think through turn 1, just a little bit more better weight distribution through there, as it's a high-speed corner that you really lean on the outside tires, but when we get to the race, could mean they hurt those rear tires a little bit more.
Coming down in towards this double apex right-hander. This is where we saw a mistake earlier on from Harold Valson. He just made a little bit of an error on the exit curb there. It's so
a little
easy.
wiggle there.
Yeah, same thing, exactly that. It's so easy to just light up the rear tires a little bit more than you were expecting. And again, you carry that mistake all the way down to the next braking zone.
And that's the thing, you're thinking about it the whole way down this back straightaway. It goes on forever, it feels like. And once you've made that mistake, you see how the time has gone away, almost 4.5 tenths off P1 right now. Just lost so much time there from that turn 7 down that back straightaway.
Yeah, coming through into the final sector then here for Samuel Cardinal. So it's not going to be a lap time that's going to trouble the top of the order, but maybe Mazda can get themselves in towards the mid-grid. 6th fastest, that's about as good as they could really have hoped for there. Half a second away from the quickest time. But, I mean, if you look at the lap times there, we've only got, you know, sort of under a second, well, we've got a second and a half, under that even, separating all of the drivers at the moment.
Basically 8 tenths,
yeah,
you know, right
so
here,
tight,
for sure. And if you're in the top 5, it's half a second or less than that right now.
Another driver making his debut then is Celso Filho, the Brazilian driver for Nissan. Nissan, former Manufacturers' Cup champions back in 2023. This is his debut Gran Turismo World Series event. He's pretty used to doing a bit of karting in his spare time. Here's Filho then.
Bit off the pace here, having a problem with his brakes we're hearing right now, so just sort of putting in a lap to sense that out, see if he can fix that.
That's such a shame there for Filho there, because that's going to be, you know, back of the grid, and that's just, again, giving you more work than maybe you'll have wanted to do, and you can see that reflects in the ultimate lap time, what, 6 seconds off the pace. What about Randall Hayward? He goes 8th quickest in the BMW, so the team that are second in the standings don't have a particularly brilliant qualifying. Now, what about Danny Solis? He's been part of this Subaru team when they've won the Manufacturers' Cup on 2 previous occasions. We know this car's not the quickest in a straight line, and look at this, nearly 8 tenths down.
Yeah, that's just hurting it right now. And you know, he was nervous beforehand. He told us when he was being interviewed in front of the crowd, had the crowd pumped up. He's going to hope to find better pace in the race for sure.
Yeah, that's so disappointing there for Subaru, for Danny Solis. They are your championship leaders by 2 points over BMW, and they only qualify P10 as Danny Solis comes to the timing line and takes the checkered flag. So Noah Lanuza then, the French driver on his debut in the Gran Turismo World Series, qualifies on pole position for Mercedes AMG. That is a supreme lap time here at the Road Atlanta circuit in Los Angeles, of course. We are here for Gran Turismo World Series 3, and we have Mercedes on pole position for the very first time this season. But the big hitters there, Subaru and BMW, right down the order on the grid.
They've got serious work to do, and this was what the other manufacturers were hoping for here in this third event, was to have this chance to sort of one-up the Subaru, the Mazdas. They've been able to do that.
And if you're a driver that perhaps hasn't qualified as well as you would want to have done, how do you put that into the back of your mind, ready to go into this race?
You know it's a long race. You know there's strategy involved. You know the tires, tire conservation could be a part of this. And so you just have to sort of adjust your strategy, understand what was the strategy you were going to go in with. If you were up front, okay, what was the one you were going to have if you weren't up front? And that's what those drivers are doing. And they'll be assessing that through the race as they go through and manage their tires. And especially some of those that were a little slower are hoping maybe they can manage those tires a little bit better than the faster cars.
See some highlights then here from this qualifying session. Lanuza it was who set the early pace in that particular part of the session. This is Angel Inestrosa, part of the team that nearly won the championship back in 2023. If you remember a couple of years ago, Inestrosa, a driver who's held in very high esteem. This is Lanuza's lap a little bit earlier on, though, in that session. He just looked clean and hooked up.
So smooth, just looks so smooth. And whenever you see this AMG GT3 do a good lap, it doesn't look fast. It's just the way this car is. When it has great speed, it's a very smooth-looking car, and that's what Noah Lanuza did there.
Yeah, very impressive for him. For Donovan Parker as well in that Ferrari. It looked pretty handy and hooked up, especially in the early part of that session. It was difficult to sort of tell whether that was a lap time that was going to be on pole position, wasn't it? But
I think he's very happy with that lap. It was an impressive lap, and being so early on the session, not knowing exactly what it was going to take, that was a really great lap.
Yeah, really well done to all of our drivers then in that qualifying session. Let's get confirmation of the results. Noah Lanuza qualifies it on pole for Mercedes AMG ahead of Donovan Parker in the Ferrari in second place. Inestrosa will head row 2 ahead of Karatza. Then it's Valsen for Lexus and Mazda with Samuel Cardinal at the wheel. But the big hitters down the bottom of the order. BMW second in the championship, only P8 on the grid. But Subaru, your championship leaders, lining up 10th, over a second off of the ultimate pace. They have got a big mountain to climb here tonight. Anyway, let's go down and catch up with our pole position man, Noah Lanuza for Mercedes AMG. He's talking to Jules.
Noah, well done for getting called. That's great. I mean, this is your first time, driving, being on the stage. Were you nervous?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous because, of course, it's my first event. But, for the lap, I was confident with the car, and I did what I do always on the training, and I'm happy for this pole position, of course.
I mean, obviously, it was just no problem. Same at home, same on the stage.
Yeah, I have to be confident to have the same pace like at home, and I think that's why I did today. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, no, let's give him a big round of applause. It's our pole position, Noah for AMG. Well done. Let's throw it back to Tom and Parker. Nice and short and to the point. That was great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Machinery that has been on display here today. I have to say, I am very jealous.
I know, some of the creativity, those tuner cars. I saw that Supra out there.
Yeah.
That was so good. It was so pristine, clean. I was like, oh, I love this. You could smell how clean it was, how new it was.
It was amazing. It really was amazing. And it's not over. We've got, got some performances later on here tonight, and we've got, a clothing drop as well. Little Yanni's here.
I know. Can't wait.
I know. I heard him doing his sound check earlier. He sounded tip-top.
Lucky you.
I know.
Lucky
I know.
you.
What a treat.
I'm going to be there. I'm going to be out there.
What a treat. Don't forget, by the way, scan the QR code on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, because you can tell us who you think is going to win the race. If you predict the winner, there are some prizes on offer here today as well. All in game on Gran Turismo 7. Go on to the game. You'll find out all the information about it over the course of this evening. So get yourself involved with that. Anyway, we're now getting into race time here for the grand final, Parker, and of course we're at the Road Atlanta circuit. We're in Group 3 cars, but now we've got medium and soft tyres, and we've got 30 laps as well. It's going to be a two-stopper, this one.
It definitely will be. So it's going to be deciding where you use those softs. I expect some of the cars up front probably to start on softs and try to use that to sort of vault away from the field. But if you're more in the mid-pack, especially for the Subaru, the BMW team, you have to be thinking, they're wondering, hey, what do we do here? Where do we want to use these tires to our advantage? And the key is trying to have those softs on in times that you feel like you might be in a little bit of clean air, that you can really use the speed of those tires.
Well, our Gran Turismo wizards have been working away furiously behind the scenes. And this is the strategy that they have come up with. You can see, if you start the soft tyres, you're going to go for as long as you can. 8 laps, maybe 9 if you're really a bit of a tyre whisperer, is about as much as you can eke out of that. But you've got to use at least both tyre compounds at least once during the race, essentially. You can see the pit loss time there is 19 seconds, 6 seconds for the tyre change, and refueling speed 3 litres per second as well. There is one big long back straight down here, but saving fuel at this circuit, I can't imagine it's going to be an easy task.
It's not, but you would have a little bit of benefit of the draft there and that sort of thing, being able to save a little bit of fuel. You can lift and coast in that downhill braking zone. That helps a little bit, but I think tire management is really going to be the key here because you just have these high-speed corners that abuse that left side tires, especially that left rear.
Now, in terms of this circuit, you had a little go on it yesterday.
I did. It doesn't look as good as some of the others we're seeing out there, these pro drivers, but I did. Talking about the turn 1, 2, and 3 complex. This is a highly committed corner. You see me get a little bit of a wiggle there. You don't want to have that happen, but then as you head up towards turn 2, it's a blind crest, and then you have to try and find yourself going right. You want to use more of that right side curve than I did. There's my wiggle. That's not good looking. But nonetheless, if you get over that crest, you've got to pick a point to sort of reference to be able to get the car to the right, and that's a key part of this racetrack.
Well, a reminder of the starting grid for this one. Noah Lanuza, the Frenchman, on pole position for Mercedes-AMG in his debut GT World Series event. You can see there the top 6 separated by just half a second. The whole field, but for Philo, who of course had some technical problems in that session, was separated by just 1.2 seconds, so incredibly close in terms of the gap. So something to keep an eye on, and very interested to see how it's going to look over the course of this 30-lap race. Now, the winner predicting campaign that we were speaking about, if it goes your way for BMW, you quit in, but it's quite tight there at the top, actually.
And that's qualifying 8th. That'd be a tall task right here. We've seen it before. We're using strategy that you can gain that track position, but that's going to be a seriously tall task. I like the vote there for Porsche. I could see that happening for sure. Daniel Solis and Subaru, 17%. We'll see if he can make it happen.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hugely excited to see how it's going to fare. You can see 3 of our competitors. You've got Randall Hayward, Angel Inestrosa, Danny Solis from left to right on your picture. Big mountain to climb for the 2 on the left and the right, respectively. Angel Inestrosa there in the middle has had a great run of things in events gone past. Can they translate it into a strong result here tonight? Anyway, we're about ready to get going. Let's go down to Jules to see how we get on and get the crowd hyped up.
Right, we are just moments away from the grand final of the Manufacturers' Cup Round 3. Is Subaru going to pull it through, or is Noah going to one-stop mic drop and do it? What do you think, guys? We're going to find out.
Messy show. This is really messy. Even by us. It's time to go for the final of the Gran Turismo World Series for the Manufacturers' Cup. 12 drivers on the grid. Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta is the venue. Only one, of course, can be crowned as the winner. Let's see how the grid lines up for this brilliant race that I'm sure is set to come our way, and it's going to be Noah Lanuza who will line it up on pole position for the very first time, his debut event for Mercedes-AMG, and he starts at the head of the field with Donovan Parker for Ferrari alongside. Angel Inestrosa heads row 2 for Porsche, Adriano Carrazza alongside in the Toyota Supra. Next up is Harold Velson in the Lexus. They've got no points so far this season, and Mazda also looking to try and add to their tally, sitting 3rd in the championship. Mosso Nunez in 7th place with Randall Hayward lining up P8, 2nd in the championship of BMW. 9th is Trent Jeffrey for Honda, but the championship leaders Subaru with Danny Solis at the wheel for this event lining up only in P10. Then Simon Rosenberger is in 11th place with Celso Filo, the Brazilian driver, lining up in 12th position right at the very back of the field. Now, medium and soft tyres available for the drivers. And interestingly here, Parker, we've got all of the drivers who are starting on the medium tyre, so not any divergence in strategy.
Well, apparently they heard what I thought and just did the exact opposite. Apparently, that's what everyone thought. Was that, hey, whatever he says, I'm going to do the opposite, so that makes sense. But hey, we'll see how that plays out. We saw some of the Wizards, what they had put together in terms of strategy. We'll see if this pays off to have those mediums first.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if you might see someone going for a pretty unique strategy, maybe going for a shorter stint on that medium tyre, trying to get them off earlier, perhaps after only a half.
If you can make the softs last.
Exactly.
That would be the key.
If you can make the softs last.
You'd have to defy what we thought was 8 or 9 laps, maybe, that you can make them last.
Hey, never underestimate underestimate these Gran Turismo competitors. They are incredible at just thinking on their feet and adapting to these conditions and circumstances. And, you know, if you're a driver that's starting a bit further down the field and you've got progress to make up through that field, there is an opportunity to make it. Let's get ready then to go. The grand final for the Manufacturers' Cup for Gran Turismo World Series 3 here in LA is underway. It's Lanuza who leads the field down towards turn 1, followed by Donovan Parker, followed by Angel Enestrosa, followed by Adriano Carranza. A rolling start will spread that field out, so no dive bombs into these first few corners, but let's see how it looks as we get ready to go through that first sector and on towards the back straight for the first time. But nice and clean through those first couple of turns. Exactly what we're expecting for Noah Lanuza. He, of course, is the driver who's punching the hole in the air in front for the field that's following behind.
And expect the field to sort of compress once we get to the backstretch there, and sort of towards the end of the backstretch for sure, as they're able to draft a little bit here as we head down into turn 6. This sets up into turn 7. You just have to consistently nail this turn 7 corner. You don't want to be enticed by the car in front of you to overdrive that corner and allow the car behind to get a run on you.
Let's see what happens then. We come out of that double apex right-hander. So Lanuza it is that leads. Donovan Parker there, though, is very close behind. And we know that Ferrari is actually pretty handy in a straight line. So will we see any slipstreaming moves being made? We're coming in towards a pretty big braking zone of that chicane. And if you sat down the order like Samuel Cardinal is, you need to try and make these moves while the field is bunched up. He's using the initiative. He's got the inside line.
Overcooked it a bit.
A little bit late on the brakes. Leans on him on the outside of Valsen there. And that might cost him a little bit in terms of the stewards having a little look, because it was a fairly robust and aggressive overtake on the opening lap, and it's left Valsen vulnerable to the threat of Mosso Nunez in the McLaren.
He absolutely sent it there into the chicane, got to the inside, showed his nose, but then just waited till he saw the BMW brake and then got to the brakes there. Obviously overcooked a little bit, maybe a tiny bit of contact. We'll see what the stewards have to say.
Well, we saw, of course, different cars being quick in qualifying relative to what we've seen in some of the racing conditions. You see Lanuza there. He's really pushing the limits here in this first one, just kicking up a little bit of grass at the start of this second lap, and I wonder whether that might leave him a bit vulnerable. Maybe he's just overdriving in these first couple of laps, pushing the car maybe a bit too much and just making a few mistakes, because even though your car might be quick in qualifying, there's no guarantee that that translates to a quick race car.
And that's what Donovan Parker was loving to see there, was him pushing just a little bit further than he wanted to, maybe a little bit of understeer through those S's. That's allowed Donovan Parker to be right on his tail as we get this long back straightaway. We saw the move there by Cardinal down to this braking zone. That should be the typical place you're going to see moves at this racetrack.
Yeah, let's have a look then. Donovan Parker with the slipstream, with the advantage, and with now the race lead. He comes into the chicane, and now it's Ferrari and Donovan Parker in front. So the USA lead here in Los Angeles with the Italian machinery down in towards the final couple of corners we're about to come. And Carranza is right on the back bumper of Angel Enestrosa, who's in that unfortunate position of trying to attack, but also having to look at his mirrors to try and defend at the same time. Carranza's got the inside line into turn 1.
That's a tight one.
Yeah, you can't really make a move stick through there unless you've got a winning dance partner. And Carranza fairly robustly gets his way up and into third place for Toyota.
That was beautiful. Great racing by both drivers to give a little bit of room there for Nostroza, and Carranza there to get to the inside and stay committed through turn 1. That's a really tough pass to make, but they did it easily.
It's sort of a bit of a stalemate where all the drivers have now started on this medium tyre. I have to say I am quite surprised for that, because if you're Subaru, if you're BMW, you need to make the progress while the field is bunched up, you would have thought, and surely going for the soft tyre would have maybe been a different strategy. I suppose the converse to that is then you're going to be on a slower competitive tyre later on in the race, and it might leave you vulnerable.
Well, we already know that we thought we would do it one way and they did the opposite, so we might figure out. We have no idea what they're going to do, but we'll find out in real time with all of you watching as this unfolds. I think, we go back to that last lap with Donovan Parker going by Lanuza. That was a message to Lanuza. This is the straight line speed I have in this Ferrari. He made that pass before they got to the braking zone.
Yeah, well, a bit of a sort of drafting train, I should say, rather. You've got down this back straight here as well, because Cardinal, though he closed up onto the back of Enestrosa, of course, has the slipstream, being punched in the hole in the air in front of him by Lanuza. Hayward here is vulnerable here to Philo as well, as he looks his way through the final couple of corners. It's pretty close down the bottom end of the field in this race, and Hayward and Rosenberger are under investigation for a collision, so I wonder if that's why we picked up that battle. Maybe something's kicked off at the end of that last lap.
He was a little slow. He was off the line at that point, so something happened there through the chicane in 10A and 10B where they were able to get together. He was forced off to the side, so we'll have to see what the result of that was.
Samuel Cardinal, quickest man though, out on the circuit last time around. He's driving the Mazda, currently sitting in P5, just half a second away from Angel Enestrosa as it stands at the moment. Let's let's have another look then. What happened here to, well, this is Donovan Parker actually on Lanuza for the race lead. So Ferrari versus Mercedes-AMG down this back straight. And he made that look quite easy, actually.
Well, you could just see the straight line speed there. Utilizing the draft, of course, had the speed and got it done before the braking zone. That's the type of pass you love to make happen because it was simple.
Yeah, really nicely done there for Donovan Parker. And the question is now, he's got the lead of this race. Can he pull away? Can he build an advantage over Lanuza and over the rest of the field and try and sort of run his own race?
And when we spoke to him earlier today, he was really worried about the left rear tire of this Ferrari, though. That's one of the things he said. I know it has the speed, but I'm worried about beating up that left rear tire, especially through turn one. This final corner here, you see the car puts a ton of energy to the left side. These are high speed, highly committed corners that just abuse that left side tires, and therefore he's just definitely thinking about taking care of that left rear.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So through the first sector we go, and this is what we're used to seeing in these sort of longer form races. About 45 minutes in total we're expecting from lights out to the checkered flag. And it's going to be interesting to see how this one will work out, because you end up with a bit of a slower start to the race, but then it really comes alive at the end as you get the divergence in strategies. What we're expecting, about 8 laps or so on the soft compound of tyre, whereas on the medium side they'll go a little bit longer, but of course they don't have the same pace underneath them. They're about 0.8 to a second or so a lap slower than them. Of course, everyone's on the same compound of tyre now, but are you going to get someone maybe diving into the pits early? If they can eke those soft tyres out just a lap or two longer, that could be the difference between winning a race and losing it.
Yeah, who's willing to be the riskiest and be first on those soft tires is really the game here right now, is how far do you want to push these mediums, and then how early do you dare get on those softs and hope that they can last as the field compresses again down in the backstretch chicane. There's 10A, 10B into the final corner. You can just see how the draft keeps these cars so compacted right now, and it just puts the pressure on someone like Donovan Parker, who's trying to focus, run his race, focus on his lines, hitting his marks right now, but knowing that if he has any mistake there off of turn 7, they're there to pounce.
Carazza on the back, on the back of Lanuza. The problem is, though, it's such a one-line first sector here, though, isn't it? You can't find your way through there.
Well, we saw the pass he made into turn 1, which was excellent, but once you get to turn 2 or 3, it has to be a massive mistake by the driver in front of you if you're going to get there. Here's Simon Rosenberger down in, and this is how he got into Haywood, just outbroke himself. Haywood was an innocent bystander there, turned into the corner already. You can see him shaking his head. It's not what you want to do.
No, big disappointment there for Randall Haywood. And you wonder whether the stewards might be taking a look at that. I have to say, also for Subaru and for Danny Solis, it's not going his way at all. He's 5 seconds now off the back of Simon Rosenberger. To make that 10 seconds, he's clearly made another mistake on this lap, and he's just dropping like a stone. And clearly, he is struggling out there on the circuit, and that's not what Subaru needed, because this could be a race that if they finish down there, they'll of course be scoring no points, and it could cost them the lead of the championship going into the World Finals. On board there, or looking rather, I should say, Adriano Carazza in 3rd position, and Helen Stroza sitting there in P4 for now. You can see the tyre wear at the moment. First chance really to look at it. The front-engined rear-wheel drive car is actually looking pretty even compared to some of the mid-engined rear-wheel drive layouts that we've got. The sort of big outlier really is Donovan Parker, who's got a bit less rear tyre relative to the other drivers who are close behind.
And he told us that's what he was worried about with this Ferrari. Sure enough, it's showing up right now. You can see there was only 2 cars that were below the 70 percentile there in the rear tires, and he was one of them, down at 68 as we got off that graphic. So definitely abusing those rear tires right now, and that means he's just having to drive that car as delicately as he possibly can. You're trying to basically extract speed, but just not slide the rear tires, not put energy through the rear tires. It's an incredibly tough thing to do no matter what race car you're driving. And a racetrack like this, where it's putting a lot of energy through those rear tires, you just have to try and drive that car as straight as possible.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Looking here then at Adriano Carazza, we ride on board as he has got a face full of Noah Lanuza. We come down this back straight. Stroza and Cardinal sitting pretty close there behind and just doing a good job of keeping them honest. So for some of these teams here, Parker, looking at the standings going into this one, of course Subaru, as we know, they lead it by 2 points over BMW. Nissan though, they're only half the points away from Subaru, for Mazda, for Porsche. There's a great opportunity for some teams to capitalise here.
There is, especially for what we saw in qualifying. That was really what opened everything up for a lot of these teams that have struggled in the first 2 events to have this chance in the 3rd event. As we look at Carazza, look at the inside, Lanuza again, he's been doing that lap after lap, just poking that nose here into 3. not really a passing attempt as much as a message. Hey, I can get there if I want to. I can put that little bit of pressure, and he now falls a little bit back as we go through the S's. He's definitely stronger through that turn 1, turn 2 complex, but does sort of lose a bit of time as we go through the S's into 6 and to 7.
Yeah, coming down this straight then in towards the double apex right hand. Let's have a look at another moment here for Danny Solis. We know he's been all at sea.
Oh, no.
The spin just got onto the curb, and well, that's dropped him now 15 seconds off the back of the rest of the field. I mean, look, he's laughing.
Hey,
there's
nothing
nothing else you can
do at
do.
that point.
Nothing else you can do. It's such a shame there for Danny Solis. We know he's a very competitive driver. We know he's got the ability to be at the sharp end of the field in these Gran Turismo World Series events. We've seen it. You don't become a two-time champion for nothing, but clearly on his return, it maybe just nerves, something along the lines of that he's just not performing here tonight, and ultimately it's costing his team.
I just love how you see these battle trains occur in these GT3 cars, and it's not dissimilar to real life. You see this all the time, having raced at GT3 before earlier this year at the Rolex 24 in Sebring. It was like this all the time. You're in these trains of cars. The way these cars are, it's just they're so closely aligned. The BOP matching does a great job of creating the performance be so close between the cars, and you get in these trains like this, and it's such an intense form of racing.
You've got sort of a race of two halves here at the moment, haven't you? You've got the first group of 7 drivers who are all, you know, half a second or so relative from one another. Then you've got another 4.5 seconds back to Randall Hayward, who's then got Philo, Jeffrey and Rosenberger relatively close behind. So it's interesting to see how this race is going to play out. And again, I wonder for those drivers who maybe haven't had the strongest start to this race, whether they might try and do a different strategy. This is Philo's move, meanwhile, on Randall Hayward, coming down and in towards that chicane. Nicely done. Used the advantage of the slipstream, took to the inside, and then got through and took that position quite nicely there for him.
Yeah,
so
for these top 3 championship leading teams, manufacturers, they're looking at no points right now, especially that gap between them and the next set of cars, which are the points. So it's going to be, they've got to get going.
Yeah, points are only down to 6th position. And look how tight it now is at the sharp end of this race. Delighted to welcome to the commentary box former champion in the Gran Turismo World Series, Igor Fraga, no less. Igor, great to have you here. First of all, I've got to ask, what do you think of this race? Because it looks like it's going to bubble up to be quite a nice one. I mean, you've got 7 drivers separated by a hair's breadth.
Yeah, so like all the cars' performance, all the drivers' performance have been being really, really close since qualifying. I think Mercedes nailed the qualifying, but the pace, the race pace itself, it's been really, really similar, and all of them are trying to kind of stay together in the pack, so they have a chance at the end of the race to really like gain some positions.
What's the key going to be able to win this race? If you're sat there now, for example, you're Adriano Corazza, you're not leading the race, but you're in a good position. How do you turn this race into something that you can win?
Yeah, so I think Donovan Parker's pace has been really good, so everyone is following him. So it's going to be difficult to do something right now, to be honest. Maybe I'll try to do something just before going to the pits and changing tires. So after I'm back onto the track, then I can stay behind the fastest car of the race, basically.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out then here for Donovan Parker. You've got Noah Lanuza there, who's in 2nd position at the moment. In terms of tyre wear, do you think there could be a particular factor in this race? Do you think, maybe someone who could eke their tyres out for a lap or 2 longer, that might come into play? Yeah,
probably yes. I think we have a different type of cars running. Also, we are considering that the cars are slipstreaming each other, so maybe they are being able to, some of the car being able to manage better the tires, so this could come and play later in the race as well.
So I'm listening to everything you're saying. Do you think Lanuza right there is sort of hanging out behind Donovan Parker at this time, just using that draft down the back straightaway, knowing the speed of the Ferrari, taking care of his tires a little bit? As we look at the tires right now, Donovan Parker down in the 40s for both front and rears.
Yeah, I think Donovan is trying to push as hard as he can. Probably his race pace is good, but then it's hurting its tires, and then all the guys behind is being able to save a lot of tires. You can see, especially P2 and P3 having very good tire wear on the rears, and this probably will come in play later in the race, in the strategy and everything.
Look at Corazza, 64 on the rear tires right there.
That's really
impressive.
good. Yeah, that's really good, and especially considering it's a Supra, so it used to be a lot harder to keep the tires in a good shape. So he's doing definitely a really good job there.
Yeah, you can see they're just sort of sitting there waiting for the right opportunity to pounce at this particular point of the race. We're coming towards that first pit window. really. Again, the tyres, they're getting warm, but they're not quite at that level. But given another lap, maybe another couple of laps or so, and we might see the first drivers beginning to blink. You would imagine, given the difference in tyres, especially for Donovan Parker and his rear tyres, that he's going to be boxing before anybody else in this race.
I don't know, to be honest, because Ferrari has great traction. So even if the car has good tire, more tire wear, maybe it can keep up with the pace because the Ferrari itself have like really good traction.
And that's a great answer, because not knowing anything about strategy, you fit right in up here right now today here.
Yeah, because the thing is, they're always shown like, you know, the predicted strategy, but there's always drivers that come up with the crazy ideas and a different strategy that is not even shown, and they can do like really well.
Wait, you're saying race car drivers being crazy?
Yes.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Coming down this back straight then here, looking at Donovan Parker, then Noah Lanuza, then Adriano Carrazza, who's just sitting there in third place. In Estrada a couple of laps ago, who's in fourth at the moment, got a bit of a warning for contact with another car, so must have had a bit of a tap into the back of Adriano Carrazza. Carrazza has a sort of half look there to the inside, to the chicane, but the door's not quite ajar enough for him to walk through right now.
And he's doing that still out of turn 1. I watched him do it the lap before as well. He's done that there down into turn 10 chicane. He's just constantly showing that nose a little bit to Lanuza. We saw what his rear tires were like. He's done the best with that. Look at the run he gets here into turn 1. Lanuza goes a little bit further in the corner, but here's then once again better on the exit. That's why his rear tires are doing so well, as we see Simon Rosenberger on pit road.
Yeah, he's the first driver to come into the pits, then he'll go on to the soft tyre. So we're expecting 2 stints on the soft tyre in this race, and Rosenberger in the Lamborghini, the first driver to blink. He's down in 10th position at the moment. What you want when you come out of these pit stops is a nice bit of clear air, which Rosenberger should get. You know, he's got Danny Solis, who's about 20 seconds or so down the road, but Solis is now coming to the pit lane, so he should be pretty much on his own, Rosenberger, once he emerges back into the race.
And also it's very difficult when you go out the pits, because you are running with worn medium tires and then you put the fresh soft tires. The grip changes, it's very different. It's huge, and then you have to keep nailing the exactly same lines, because you have all the curbs and very technical cornering in the first sector, and a little bit of mistake that you do, you can get a penalty. So you have to be like really precise.
Lanuza defending that move there from Carrazza, moved over on the back straight, and Carrazza there, though he had extra momentum, didn't have the opportunity to move it, and it's brought Angel Estrada right into play then here as we come through these final couple of corners, and you can see now is where it's going to start beginning to build. We're coming towards the halfway stage of this race already, and you can see that 10 out of the 12 drivers have not yet made their first out of, well, at least 1, probably 2 pit stops here in this one. So we'll see who is going to be the first of the drivers to blink, and also, crucially, who's going to follow them there as well. Will Parker be the first driver, or will the rest of the field follow suit, or are they going to go off and do their own strategy? Igor, if you were in the pack like this at the moment, what would you be doing?
For me, at this point, probably just make sure that I can stay on the pack and don't do any mistakes, because, you know, if you kind of risk it at that point and you do like a little mistake, you will lose like 4 position in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
And we're gonna like ruin your race. So I think it's just stay on the pack, just keep your position, and especially if you're on the top 3, you want to just keep your position, because you have probably plenty of chance later on the race.
And I wonder if Carrazza's thinking he would be one of the last on pit road. We got that graphic again of his tires. He's 20% better than Donovan Parker there, who's the leader right now. He's done an incredible job saving those rear tires as he does a block here, and Estrada nicely done down into 10, but I wonder if he's going to watch this and see maybe there's a chance there to go a little bit longer and to be able to push on those soft tires harder.
Yeah, coming down through to those final few corners. We're now, again, sort of getting towards that time where you're going to have no choice but to pit over the next couple of laps or so. We can see that Parker's tyres are, as we know, a bit more worn out relative to the other drivers who are behind. That's what we reckon the predicted strategy will be, about 13 laps or so. Well, we're on lap 15 and we haven't seen anybody pitting. Lanuza, though, starting to begin to hold up Carrazza. You can see Carrazza's just held his tyres in a bit better condition, especially through this first sector of the lap. It looks a bit quicker and a bit more comfortable, really.
Yeah, and also the Supra has a great top speed. It's just that everyone is on a slipstream, so it's very difficult to get like a run through it. Because yeah, exactly. So you try to do something, but you get out of the slipstream, then your car is not faster anymore. So it's a very difficult. and there's a lot of pressure going on there as well because you cannot do any mistakes.
Points for the top 6 drivers in this race, just to remind you. So if you're down to Harold Velsen, you'd be scoring points if the checkered flag was thrown now, but there's still half the race left to go in this one, and plenty of time for the complexion of it.
Really close.
Yeah, this is where we go for that move then, down the back straight, side by side they go, Toyota versus Mercedes. Carazza makes the move really nicely.
Beautiful.
And goes through and into second. Exactly what he wanted to do. Now, are we going to see anybody diving into the pit lane at the end of this one? Parker does. He had no choice. Look at the rear tyres. They would be about as useful as chewing gum on the sole of your shoes after that long in the race. And Parker decides that lap 16 rather, I should say, is the last on the mediums and goes on to the soft tyres. I wonder how he's going to work with this.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about like Carazza and other guys that stayed on track, that maybe there's a possibility to do a one-stop, no?
That's what I was thinking.
Well, yeah,
I was looking at how much better his tires were. Now he's in the lead. Could go all the way to a one-stop possibly.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, we were talking about the hard tyre, the medium tyres, I should say, the harder of the compounds versus the soft tyres. And the predicted strategy says, soft tyres, you've got to get them off after about 8 laps. But like you say, if you can just be really smooth on your inputs, on the steering, on the brakes, on the throttle, and you can eat them out for that little bit longer, maybe you can eat those soft tyres out.
And maybe like a 2-stop could be faster in the total time, but if you consider like track position and traffic and everything, maybe 1-stop is safer because you can just keep ahead, and then even if it's a little bit slower in terms of the total time, it's better.
Look at this, 3 wide for the lead, down to 10!
That's going to go wrong. They're off into the gravel. The Mercedes goes off down into the chicane after contact between themselves in Astroza as well as Adriano Carazza. And the upshot is the debutant here at Road America ends up in the gravel trap and loses a huge amount of time. Now Astroza is on the inside of Carazza down into the first corner. Side by side they go. The Porsche is into the race lead.
Carazza's fought back here. He thinks better of it. That's just too tight of a corner to go side by side through. And that started all the way back in turn 7. Carazza just didn't get the run. He actually got a little understeer, got up too far onto the curb, and that allowed those 2 drivers behind him to get a massive draft and get side by side 3 wide down that corner for a place that's only really fit for 2.
Yeah. 3 into 1 doesn't go, and no surprise to see that incident under investigation. I should imagine the stewards will take a pretty dim view of that. I'd love to have a look at a replay and get another angle on that incident in a few moments' time. But we look here at Samuel Cardinal, who's profited from it. He's now up into 3rd place, into the podium positions here for Mazda. Mazda, I remind you, 3rd in the standings at the moment, so they can really take an advantage because Porsche and Toyota are a bit further down the order. Toyota 5th in the standings, joint 5th with Porsche, but Lexus also, having not scored any points, would be very welcome for that 4th place finish. Anyway, long way still to go.
And I think there's going to be some drivers that are going to pit this lap because there is some driver that have very high tire wear. We'll see. No, they keep going.
Yeah,
probably next lap. So I think if you can push like 17 laps on the mediums, 1-stop is very possible.
Let's have a look then to see what happens. So Inestrosa's got great momentum. Lanuza there on the outside. Oh, Carazza moved over by the looks of things.
Just a little bit. I don't think at one point there he knew they were about to be 3 wide. He was trying to protect. He didn't know that Noah was there and kind of come over at that time, and that caused the collision.
Well, yeah, that's not going to be much compensation, I should imagine, for Adriano Carazza and also for Noah Lanuza's mood as well. Let's see what the stewards decide for that one, but I would imagine there could be a penalty coming the way of the Brazilian driver, and that'll be a big disappointment for them, for Toyota, because as we say, 5th in the standings. It was a great opportunity for them to try and build on the points that they could have got over the course of this season so far.
And as I said, like it's been like everyone's so close. Just a single mistake can like really ruin your race. So all the the decision that you make during the race are so important to make sure that you can like capitalize in everything.
You got the sense, didn't you, that it was bubbling up, the sun was going to start kicking off.
Especially with the tire starting to be warm. It's very close to the pit window. So yeah. It was where something could happen.
Cardinal into the pit lane then at the end of lap 18. So he's the first of the leaders from that group now to blink in the Mazda RX vision machine, comes in and he'll go on to the soft tyre. Everybody else staying out, and the tyres, as we say, I mean, just looking at it from what we can see on our timing screen, they're pretty worn now, especially on the left-hand side. This, of course, being a clockwise circuit, means that the left-hand side of the car gets lent on that a little bit more.
Yeah, in the meanwhile, Donovan Parker, he was always with the clean air, so I think he will have like a big gap compared to the other group that stayed on track. But I think it's going to be really interesting to see that tire wear at the end of the race.
That's a great point, because as we saw that 3-wide movement and battling at the front, that was just slowing them down, allowing Donovan Parker to rip those fast laps.
Well, the question is as well, Parker, as we know, he pitted early on. So is he going to be able to do a one? If everyone else does a one-stop in front, can he do a one-stop? Has he got the ability to eke those tyres out? Because if he's done 2 or 3 laps, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a huge amount of time left, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, and especially that we have tire wear multiplier on those races. So 2 or 3 laps difference in real life would be like more than 10 laps difference. So it's a lot.
No doubt about it. Yeah, very, very keen to see how this one is going to play out. Igor, thank you so much for joining us and helping us make sense of the middle stint of this race.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me here as well.
It's a pleasure. Yeah, absolute pleasure. And now we get the leaders coming into the pits. Inestrosa, Corazza into the box. From the medium to the soft compound of tyres, Lanuza and Artemoso Nunes continue on at the sharp end of this one. Now, the question is about Donovan Parker. Where's he going to emerge? You would imagine, because he's been running clean laps and setting very fast laps at that he's going to come right out the sharp end of this. But is that going to leave him vulnerable in the final third of this race? He comes through, he's now in 3rd place, and he's still got, what, 11 seconds for Lanuza up the road. He's in a great position here at the moment. Doesn't mean it's going to last, though.
No, it doesn't. We saw already when we had the recent tire graphic, and as Igor was explaining how fast these tires wear with the accelerated wearing that you have here in Gran Turismo, that he'd already beaten up those tires a ton, and we saw how he had to pit there because the rear tires in that Ferrari just didn't stay on in the first stint. He had to get to pit road, so we'll see if this works out for him, but definitely he's been ripping fast laps and should have a large gap.
Yeah, let's have a look at Valsa versus Artemoso Nunes then, coming down in towards turn 10. That was a nice clean, but that's how you do it into that chicane.
That's pretty. I like that one.
Yeah, Mosso Nunes in the McLaren moves his way up and into 4th place at that point. Now effectively the race leads, we can see Randall Hayward's got a red flashing dot next to his name. That means he's picked up a penalty for one reason or another. We didn't see anything coming up on screen saying he's under investigation, so one would assume that's a track limits penalty. Either way, not what the team that are second in the championship would have wanted to see on their board at the moment. Now, the last of the 2 remaining drivers, Artemoso Nunes and Noah Lanuza in the McLaren and the the McLaren and the Mercedes, respectively, are still yet to pit. Now they do, and let's see where they are going to emerge in the return of this race. Here, meanwhile, is Donovan Parker, and look at this, he's made this work really nicely here, Parker, because, you know, he had, what, 3/10 of a second of advantage. Yeah. Now he's up to 6.4 seconds. That's great, but again, we've got to think about the bigger picture here, don't we? Because, as we know, he pitted 2 or 3 laps earlier relative to some of the other drivers around him, and you wonder how vulnerable that might leave him.
Can he make it last? Can he look at this gap and say, hey, wait, what can I do to just take care of these tires right now and try to make them last even further than he thought maybe they could go? We thought that this was definitely going to be a 2-stopper. It looks like most of these drivers here of Corazza and Inestrosa are going to be on this 1-stopper. Is Donovan Parker got the ace in his sleeve? Can he do it?
Well, that's a crucial question, isn't it? I mean, you know, overtaking is one thing, getting past is, closing up is one thing, getting past is quite another. Inestrosa, Corazza and Cardinal, though, you could throw a blanket over them, couldn't you, coming down this back straight? They're so close together. And you wonder whether they might try and work together here instead of fighting amongst one another. Get themselves, they're in that slipstream train at the moment, but are they going to be able to close up onto the back of Parker if they start fighting?
Another pretty pass there by Valsen there, down into 10. I would think that would be the best plan, but they're race car drivers, and they don't normally think that way. It's, I want to be ahead of you, I don't care what it means, I want to be the leader of this pack right now. ZC Corazza once again right on the tail of Inestrosa. I think that it would be smart to be working together to utilize that draft to try and cut down that gap. They've already got about 2 or 3 tenths in that last lap. That would be the smart move right here.
Just seeing on screen there, no further action after that incident there with Corazza, Lanuza, etc. that we saw a few laps ago, which fired Lanuza off into the gravel. So they've deemed that it was a racing incident and nobody was at fault, which...
I agree with that.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Well,
I think when you take 3 cars down in that corner, all the same place, That's a very tough position to be in. They got there because of the draft and all the different movement there down in the braking zone. I think it was the right call.
Well, it's a very good point. I'm not a racing steward. I just stand here and talk nonsense for 45
I'm not
minutes.
either, but I'm just going to agree with it.
It's probably the best way to do it. Best way to do it. Donovan Parker, that gap from 6.3 seconds now down to 5.3 seconds. Of course, he's on, as we know, older soft tyres. And that is run. That is leaving him a bit vulnerable. Karata there having a look to the back of Inestrosa, but nothing doing for him at the moment. They've just got to be patient, haven't they, really? Because it's going to come to them in the closing stage of this one. And this is what we're used to seeing in the Manufacturers' Cup races as Parker comes into the pit lane for his final pit stop. So he's doing a two-stop.
There's our answer.
Yeah, but are we going to get everybody else doing a one-stop? Can they eat those tyres out? And conversely, they'll leave them vulnerable if they do a one-stop, because Parker's going to be on fresher rubber.
You see him shaking his head a little bit. Maybe he realizes that the others could potentially just be on a one-stop.
It's a possibility, but I've got to be honest. I think it's going to be quite difficult to eke out a one-stop. And if it is a one-stop, if you've got someone that has managed to pit onto the soft tyres and hasn't lost that much time, i.e. you would imagine Donovan Parker, that he could close up and just drive right past them in the closing lap, maybe even.
That's what he'd be hoping.
Certainly
That's the case.
Certainly is. So Inestrosa then leads the race now, half a second ahead of Adriano Carrazza. Samuel Cardinal there just on his tail as well. So you've got three drivers separated by just a handful of tenths of a second. Then you've got Valson and Mosso Nunez. Where is Donovan Parker? So he's in 9th position at the moment. He's the first, or the second driver now to make two stops in this race. And he's got a hell of a mountain to climb in terms of making up time, but also he's got to fight his way through a fair bit of traffic up the road there as well, which could compromise him. And that shake of the head might mean that he knows that a possible chance of victory for Ferrari could have slipped through his fingers.
And right now he's about 18.2 seconds back at this time from the lead, so he's got a little, that gap would condense obviously with a pit stop if these leaders were to pit, but we think possibly they're just on this one-stop strategy right now, and therefore he knew it was game over at that point.
So looking here at Samuel Cardinal, as we say, the top three teams in this one would love to have the checkered flag thrown now, because they would get some great points on offer. Porsche sitting 5th in the championship with 3 points so far this season. You've got Carrazza for Toyota, they're also joint 5th as well, and Samuel Cardinal for Mazda, they're 3rd in the championship. Harold Valson meanwhile has been given a 1-second penalty for colliding with another car. Not quite sure if we saw what that was all about, but he's ahead of Artem Mosso Nunez, so I wonder whether that might be what it's all about. The upshot is though, he's coming towards that penalty zone. You see that bar filling up, and he'll come into that. He'll lose a second, but he'll also lose the time it takes him to get back up to speed. So a second's penalty could easily end up being 1.5 to 2 seconds quite comfortably.
And it's on that long back straightaway where we've talked about just getting a bad run out of turn 7 is worth a couple tenths, let alone having a slowdown like that there, and then having to reaccelerate back up to full speed, and it messes up your braking down to 10, so it's a massive penalty.
So if you're Inestrosa, your Carrazza or your Cardinal here at the moment, Parker, you've got a nice comfortable cushion over the rest of the field. Are you going to take that risk and try and do that one-stopper? Is it worth it?
I think it absolutely is, especially what we saw Carrazza was able to do with his tires earlier in this race. He had the best rear tires of anyone, and he's been able to make passes in areas that no one else has. So I definitely believe that this is what he's expecting to do. I think right now, just taking care of those tires right now behind Inestrosa, but hoping that when he gets that chance to strike, it's there on offer. And we've seen him do it down into turn 1. He's done it down to turn 10. He seems to be always looking to poke his nose out just at the braking zone, just to make that driver think for a second, hey, I could get there if I want to. And that's definitely nerve-wracking for Inestrosa.
Yeah, you'd be sat there on the light flashing button, wouldn't you? Trying to distract the driver.
Anything you got in your arsenal, you will utilize, trust me.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So 5 laps to go then here at the Road Atlanta circuit, and well, it's anybody's guess as to how this one is going to play out. You would imagine that Donovan Parker, even though he's got fresher rubber, he's got, as we say, a big old mountain to climb to close out the gap that he has now created, courtesy of the fact that he had to pit early. He used up his tyre in the opening stint. It was a great stint nonetheless, you know, to see him at the sharp end of the field in his return to the GT World Series. But the problem with it is that it's left him vulnerable now, and it's cost him ultimately an opportunity of that win after pitting about 2 or 3 laps earlier than these other drivers.
And he's been the fastest car on the racetrack. He's been almost a second faster than the leaders in the last couple of laps. So he has the speeds. You see him going by Haywood here down into turn 1, just with all that extra grip and the speed that Ferrari has had, trying to make up every position he can right now, pushing as hard as he can. He's got fast lap times. He might just not have enough time.
Yeah, that is the problem there for Donovan Parker. What's the gap now? 8.5 seconds. So he's going to have to hope that they all have to pit in the closing stages of this one. I mean, looking at the tyre wear that we can see on our timing screen at the moment, it's fine. It's not great, and it's going to be slower compared to Donovan Parker, but the gap that he's got to make up over the next few laps is pretty insurmountable, one would imagine.
No, definitely, and I think if you just look there at Carrazza with the 59%, that was just the same thing he did in that first stint, and we've seen it that they were able to go way further on those tires than maybe we thought they potentially would. So I think this really is the battle for the win right here. It's Inestrosa and the Porsche versus the Toyota of Carrazza. These two have been going at it all race long. Throughout each and every lap here, they've been around each other, and Carrazza's been sort of on the back foot at times, having to make those wild passes, but I do think if he's going to find a place, it could be into turn 1 where he's surprised some drivers earlier in the race.
And they've kept it pretty calm and pretty respectful up until this point. There's going to come a time where that calmness and that respect is going to start to wane a little bit, and then the gloves are going to completely come off, you would imagine, right towards the end, because it's all good sitting there in the wheel tracks of your fellow opponent and just, doing your own race and letting them run their own race. But eventually, of course, there comes that challenge for victory that they're going to want to make. This is Donovan Parker, meanwhile, as he ascends his way up ahead of Trent Jeffrey. That is a great move there on the inside. Set that one up. Jeffrey there forced to the grass on the outside, and Parker through and into 7th position. I mean, he's closing the gap down to the likes of Harold Valson. But again, it's just going to run out of time, unfortunately, here. It's going to come a little bit too late for him.
And it's such a shame. He did a great job in qualifying. We talked to him earlier today. He had a ton of confidence, was super excited for this event, and felt like if he could be up front, he had the possibility to do it and fight for the win. On pace alone, he had that, but strategy is going to bite him.
Now look at the tyres here then, Parker, because you can see Carrazza, he's got way more rear tyre than Inestrosa, and now Carrazza's side by side. Carrazza will not be able to attack full position going into that chicane. He'll live to fight another day, well, Inestrosa, but now we're starting to see the gloves beginning to come off. We're starting to see the aggression here from Adriano Carrazza. He's just bided his time quite nicely with the tyres, and now he looks poised to attack for the race lead. Inestrosa knows that, goes for a defensive line down towards that first corner. That's going to compromise his entry speed and subsequently his exit speed there as well. Forces him a little bit wide. If he can just hold firm and not allow Carrazza to attack, he'll be able to hold it through these sweeping series of corners and live to fight another day. But it's starting to get a little bit more interesting, and now it's beginning to build, and Carrazza's looking poised to attack.
You can feel the intensity ratcheting up right now, and that was that move that Inestrosa did, being deemed defensive into turn 1 because he knew Carrazza's been able to get to the inside there towards 2 and into 3, but he can't quite get there far enough beside him to really make a difference. So Carrazza's had to back out of it lap after lap. It's going to take Carrazza trying to get to the inside into turn 1, firing it off in there. Oh, as he got sideways, losing a bunch of time.
Yeah, the big old moment there. That's left him vulnerable here to Samuel Cardinal. So just that one mistake, we were talking about it earlier on in the race when the field was really bunched up, and now it's cost Carrazza a chance of attacking for victory, and might cost him 2nd position here at the expense of Cardinal as well. They run side by side down the back straight into the braking zone of turn 10. Cardinal with the slipstream with the advantage. Carrazza's not going to give this one up though without a fight, and moves his way back through and into 2nd place. Carrazza now needs no mistakes. He needs to be as clean as you like. 2 laps to go at the end of this one here, and Carrazza, if he wants to challenge for victory, needs to get himself onto the back of Inestrosa pretty sharpish.
He's got to get his head down right now in terms of the best laps of this race, the best laps of the day, if he wants to have a chance at going and challenging for victory there. With that just slight mistake, it's put him just too far behind. He's going to have to find something.
But look at him, he's got way more tyre compared to the likes of Inestrosa and to Cardinal as well, especially on the rears. Fronts are pretty even Stevens. Let's see whether that proves to pay dividends here though for Carrazza, because if Inestrosa's tyres fall off a cliff in this last lap and a half or so, that could be the one thing that Carrazza needs in order to have an opportunity to attack once again for the race lead. Let's have a look at it then. So we're coming through this double apex right-hander. This was last time around, goes through into the right. Inestrosa carries on okay, and it just gets on the gas a bit too early.
And it's just so easy to do because that corner just entices you to roll more speed through the center than it really wants, and as the tires where you're leaning so heavily on the left rear and you're trying to get back to the throttle so early in that corner, even potentially before the apex, to just try and make this straightaway as long as you possibly can. We've seen that throughout the day. That's a very typical thing to see at Road Atlanta, especially on old tires, and it just bit him.
Karatsa starting to come back in towards that slipstream range, and again, what he's going to have to hope is that Inestrosa's tyres fall off an absolute cliff as we come through the final corner to start the final lap of racing here at Road Atlanta. It's Inestrosa that leads, but the tyres on his car are looking pretty second-hand. Karatsa's, they're okay, they're a little bit better in terms of their condition, and now is this going to be the chance for Karatsa to challenge for victory in the Toyota? 1.1 seconds it was across the line, and now 1 lap to go here.
It was about 2/10 right there. If Karatsa's got that pace in that race car, he's going to have to find it right now. See Inestrosa use a lot of the racetrack. It's another 2 or 3 tenths right there. If he's going to get there, he's going to try and make everything up through turn 6 and 7.
Inestrosa struggling. You can see him really pushing the front end, kicking up a bit of grass as it was just understeering like a shopping trolley there, just trying to get the car rotated, but he's got no front tyre left. Now Karatsa, he's in the slipstreaming range, and this is the last opportunity. Needs a clean exit out of here.
Got the power down well.
Inestrosa used the curb there on the outside. Karatsa's going to have the advantage of the slipstream. Then we come down the back straight. It's Porsche versus Toyota. It's Inestrosa versus Karatsa in the battle for victory. Inestrosa, though, has got great straight line speed in that Porsche. Karatsa closes up, but he's not quite close enough to make a move. Inestrosa defends his way into the braking zone quite nicely, parks the car on the apex, and Karatsa can't attack, and unless Inestrosa makes a mistake, as we come down to the final corner, into the final turn we go at Road Atlanta. Inestrosa versus Karatsa, Porsche versus Toyota, the victory, and Inestrosa wins the grand final in Gran Turismo World Series 3 here in Los Angeles. What a fantastic drive from the Chilean, as Karatsa takes second best ahead of Samuel Cardinal. A brilliant grandstand finish to the checkered flag. What more could you want?
That was absolutely awesome. The tires falling off the Porsche, Karatsa and the Toyota making every move possible they could, nailing those corners, getting the draft, and they come together right there in the final corners. I've watched a lot of racing in my life. That was sensational.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant there. Angel Inestrosa takes victory in Gran Turismo World Series 3 here in LA for the Porsche team ahead of Adriano Karatsa. And you have to give it to Adriano Karatsa. That was an incredible drive over the course of that race. But ultimately, that mistake he made on the penultimate lap cost him a chance of victory.
And that's what Igor Fraga was saying up here when we had him up in the booth for a while. He just said it's the smallest little things, the smallest little mistakes that can hurt you when the field is this tight and so closely compacted, especially as we saw throughout this race, those battle trains essentially that occurred, and the field would sort of yo-yo effect and sort of compress back as the tires fell off. You could just sense the pressure was ratcheting up, and he just made that small mistake that's so easy to do onto that long back straightaway. It's such an important corner, the most important corner on the racetrack, and sure enough, it was the reason that he wasn't able to get the win.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Brilliant, brilliant job from Angel Inestrosa. And let's not forget that he's a chap who has been through a lot of hardships over the last couple of years. Broke his leg a couple of years ago and had to go through a lot of recuperation, lots of recovery, and bounce back to return to the GT World Series after a very short recuperation period relative to the injury, and he now takes victory. Let's have a look, though, at some highlights from that race, because it was Noah Lanuza who started it on pole position, but Donovan Parker moving through to take an early lead in that Ferrari.
Yeah, he used the pace of that Ferrari, especially the straight line speed and the draft, to get to the lead and sort of controlled the race for a while. This was Danny Solis making a big mistake. He was already at the back of the field, added insult to injury with that spin into the wall. Here's Karatsa going the inside, Lanuza down to 10. This was a sensational pass right here, made it into second, this setup, but then 3 wide, it got tense.
Yeah, 3 into 1 does not go, and Lanuza, the big loser in all of that. Unfortunately, 5th place it was for him at the checkered flag. There is Karatsa. This is when he came into the pits, and we saw other drivers blinking a bit earlier, including former race leader Donovan Parker, who then emerged into clear air, but the 2 or 3 laps that he pitted earlier compared to the other drivers ultimately cost him quite dearly, because though he would emerge into the race lead, as you can see, by 6.4 seconds, he had to then make a second pit stop and ultimately would drop down the field, eventually finishing P7. Meanwhile, the sharp end of this race, it became a great 3-way tussle between Karatsa, Cardinal and Inestrosa. This is Karatsa coming under pressure here from Samuel Cardinal on the 3rd but last lap. We then saw Karatsa all over the back of Angel Inestrosa as we made our way down through the final couple of corners. And ultimately, Angel Inestrosa came through to take victory, and you can see exactly what it meant for the Chilean.
It's awesome. Really great drive to hold them off, to play defensive like that as we take a look at the results. In Inestrosa, they're just holding off Carrazza. Samuel Cardinal getting to third for Mazda, which was big for the points for them. Arthur Mosa Nunez there, McLaren in fourth, and the AMG of Noah Lanuza, who was at the front, was part of that three-wide battle down into turn 10, got the short end of the stick on that one, ends up fifth.
Yeah, it's unfortunate there for Noah Lanuza, but a good recovery drive for him nonetheless. Only 6 seconds off the ultimate race lead after, being in the gravel trap in the mid-stage of the race. That is a really, really strong recovery, and he should be very proud of his debut for the Mercedes AMG team. Harold Valson for Lexus. Lexus getting their first point of the Manufacturers' Cup after winning the title in 2024. Unbelievable. Anyway, Angel Inestrosa is the winner of the grand final. Let's go down and catch up with the Porsche driver.
Well, hi guys, how are you doing? That was Adriana. You're aggressive anyway, but that was like super aggressive. But there were a couple of little wobbles, but you kept it together. Like, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, I think at the final, I try my best. I have a little more tire than Inestrosa, so I try my last move. But yeah, but EP2 is okay. It's great to make points to the Toyota, and in the final, I have a chance to make a title. Let's see.
Yeah. No, you got lots of points. It's all good. And Samuel, how was that for you? Talk us through like the last few laps, because it was pretty crazy for us watching.
Last lap were tough. A bit early. Yes, I did. I had to do it. The Mazda's great on tires. I did what I had to do. Grandma blessed me, I guess. Much love to everyone, and that race was needed, and the result was needed, and much love.
It was tight all the way through. Didn't they do well, guys? I mean, come on, that was quite hectic, and all it takes is one little thing. Everyone's so close together. You guys did amazing. Anything you want to say to the GT fans out there?
Well, it's great to be here, and it's a great crowd. I hope I see you at the final.
Samuel, you want to say anything to the GT fans? You want to say anything to the GT fans out there?
Thank you for your support, guys. I'm doing my best for my country, for Mazda. I think we can probably get a title this year, maybe. So thank you, everyone, again. And LA, I love you, man.
Oh, you guys are all in with the shot, so huge congratulations. That was a stellar race. Back up to you, Tom Parker.
Cheers, Jules. Let's have a look then at the World Series points rankings after 3 rounds now. Subaru, non-scoring, but still just by the skin of their teeth, managing to hold on to the lead of the championship. Mazda, though, managing to bump themselves up from 3rd to 2nd in the standings. BMW demoted down to 3rd. They're tied on points with Mazda, but not exactly where they'll have wanted to be. Porsche there now into 4th place. Toyota in 5th. Nissan into 6th position, and you can see it's a bit of a change at the bottom there as well, because Lexus getting their first point on the board. Well, I tell you what, Randall Hayward will be wiping his brow somewhat. I beg your pardon, not Randall Hayward. Danny Solis will be wiping his brow somewhat for Team Subaru after a bit of a difficult day at the office.
Yeah, for sure. You come in as the 2-time winners of the season and then not score any points. A really tough race, messy race. End up having that spin, get in the wall, which really knocked him out of any points contention throughout that point. So that was really tough. But what a tight field here. 5th through 1st. It's all to play for.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It was an incredible race, that one. Well, let's go down then and catch up with the winner for Team Porsche. It was, of course, Angel Inestrosa. 4th they now sit in the standings. Angel is down talking to Jules.
Well, hi, hello. You did so well. So that sounds like I'm your mum, but that's really cool. It's really nice to have you up here. Like, how are you feeling?
I mean, I'm feeling really good. Yeah, actually.
You should be. I mean,
exactly,
come on.
Yeah. After finishing last in Berlin, having a tough period, some personal stuff happening in my life, I told to all the Spanish guys, I'm gonna win in Los Angeles, and here I am.
I honestly think you've got to believe it's going to happen, or it probably won't, And that was a tough race. That was really close all the way through. What were you thinking in terms of strategy?
I just tried to save fuel. Sorry, no, not saving fuel, saving tires.
Tires?
Yeah, because I knew that you would have a really huge advantage in doing just one stop. So I think it really paid off. At the end, I think that Adriano had better tires than me, but I tried to defend and do everything I could.
I mean, you did, and Adriana was gunning for you, but it was getting a little bit busy back there. But I mean, it just goes to show, like, obviously, you know, like Gran Turismo can be, you know, one time you win, sometime you, but it's you tell them just to keep at it.
Yeah, I mean, it feels awesome to be back at the top of the podium. That's it.
It's always great to be at the top. Well, congratulations, cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers. And well done. Back to you, Tom and Parker.
Yeah, cheers, Jules. Don't forget you can vote for your Dunlop driver of the day on YouTube as well. Is it Inestrosa? Is it Carrazza? Is it Cardinal? Well, I have to say, I don't know who I would pick from that one because they all performed valiantly.
I think Inestrosa. I know he's the winner, but I'd have to say that was an incredibly impressive drive, holding off Carrazza, who probably had the faster car at that point, the better tires. Yes, there was a small mistake, but the intensity down into turn 10, knowing he had the draft and approaching him and to hold him off to the final course, that was incredibly impressive.
Well, I'm glad that you decided to just go and pick somebody. I, meanwhile, was sat on the fence so much I already got splinters.
Yeah, no, you did a commentator say a lot without saying anything.
Yeah, I'd be a politician as a result of that. But yeah, really, really wonderful race there. Angel Inestrosa, you know, really holding his nerve at the end of that one. Shout out to Samuel Cardinal as well in that Mazda. We know that car's a little bit harder on its tyres. It's a front-engine, rear-wheel drive car, so yeah, it does wear those tyres out a little bit more. But he did a really good job.
He did, and in a race where there was a lot of mistakes made, right? And you saw a lot of drivers make mistakes. We saw some altercations there. We saw 3 wide at one point. He sort of just ran his race, ran it effectively, and got the result that he was looking for in doing such a thing. And that's sometimes really tough. You know, if you get in these races and you see all the action happening and you want to be a part of it, it's tough to hold yourself back and think, if I just keep doing my race, I can get the result I want. He did that.
Absolutely, and obviously for a lot of the teams, especially the top 3 in particular, they're going to be now riding on the crest of a wave as we go into the World Finals in Fukuoka, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I just think how tight this championship is. It's amazing. It came in with really looking like it was Subaru and BMW, and now it's completely flipped where you have basically 5 manufacturers who have a chance to get the title.
Yeah, there's a great opportunity, as you say. You know, for Lexus, good to get them off the board. You know, for Subaru, as we say, they'll be wiping the sweat off their brow after that race. That was damage limitation. The fact they managed to hold on to the lead of the championship is quite remarkable.
It is amazing, you know, to have a result like that in such a tight championship in just a few races. You don't want to have any race, sort of a blow-up race, but that was in that case. And hey, look, now they know that they're in the first position. They're going to try and defend it the best they can, but it's going to be incredibly tough to do.
Absolutely. Well then, let's get ready then for the podium celebrations here in Los Angeles. Ready for the podium celebrations here in Los Angeles. Making their way off the stage in 3rd position. Give it up for Samuel Cardinal for Team Mazda. In 2nd place, please give it your all for the Brazilian, Adriano Carrazza for Team Toyota. And the winner of the Manufacturers' Cup for Gran Turismo World Series 3 here in Los Angeles, driving for Porsche, it's Angel Inestrosa! Now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to stand if you're able, please, for the national anthem of Germany. The national anthem of Germany plays out for our winning manufacturer, Porsche, the driver of which, of course, is Angel Estrada. And now it is time for the trophies to be presented here in Los Angeles. Make their way on to the stage. Presenting the third place trophy from Mazda, Jason Menden. And he awards that third place trophy to Samuel Cardinal for Team Mazda. Making their way onto the stage for the second place trophy, Nick Falzekis for Dunlop Tyres. And he awards the second place trophy to Adriano Carrazza, the Brazilian driver, racing for Toyota. And now awarding the winner's trophy, the Gran Turismo Series producer, Kazunori Yamauchi, makes his way onto the stage as he presents the winner's trophy to Angel Estrada driving for Porsche. I can't hear anything.
Wow, yes, that is the end of round 3 of the Manufacturers' Cup. It's been some amazing racing today. We've fully enjoyed it, but stick around because in our next show, we're going to be announcing the winner of the GT Awards. That's right, one lucky fan is going to have their car put into the game. I mean, that is a legacy that I'm very... But you don't want my car. That would not be good. No. But also, obviously, we've got our World Final coming soon in Fukuoka, so don't forget you can get your tickets. I mean, you always need a good reason to go to Japan, and this is a great reason to go to Japan. Come and join us for the Grand Final. It's going to be amazing racing, of course, because it's the best. And of course, we've got the Nations Cup coming up just after this. And before we go, how was that for you? First time?
Awesome. I had a great time. What a battle to the end, right down to the wire. Those two drivers bumping into each other. We saw 3 wide altercations, but an incredible finish. As I said earlier, I've seen a lot of racing. That was amazing.
We love a bit of spice here at Gran Turismo, don't we? A little bit of spice. How's that for you, Tom?
Very good.
How was new Jimmy?
Oh, I know. Someone who's the right height for
Yeah,
once. What an absolute... It's only taken 8 years.
That's your takeaway from working with Jimmy.
No new Jimmy here. Couldn't fill those shoes.
Honestly, though, in terms of the racing, brilliant. Great for Angel Estrada after all the hardship he's been through on a personal level. Amazing job.
Carrazza,
yeah.
Kept
Phenomenal.
it together, kept it aggressive. It was some pretty great racing.
It was amazing. I just love that. I love how close to racing is. It's so fun to watch. And this great crowd, thank you all for coming out. This has been really cool. We appreciate it. I can't wait for the next one.
Well, don't go anywhere because we're going to have the Nations Cup coming up very, very soon. We need to find out who's going to be in really good footing for that grand final in Fukuoka very, very soon. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you very soon. Bye.
PlayStation